So let's talk about how this project and what you get out of this project is different from a book study or something that is more head-centered.
Yeah.
What even is the project? What do we do in this project?
I like to think about it as a journey that has 3 steps or 3 stops along the way, if you will. And the first one is to write your story. And so we ask you to reflect on your experiences with race. And in that reflection, maybe it's a situation that you encountered or an aha moment, something that maybe has stayed with you. And it could be something recently or something in the past. And we just ask you to reflect on that. And then especially given the recent events in our city and in our country, how have your feelings or thoughts changed or your behavior has changed? And also, how has it impacted your own personal and spiritual growth? And then the next step is you're invited to participate in what we call a writing roundtable. And that is this really wonderful opportunity to share your story with other people who have written their stories in a very safe space. And they're currently facilitated by Annette Atkins. She's a very seasoned teacher and a writer herself. Now, the other writers are there. They're not there to be editors or critics. They're really there to be supportive listeners and provide a supportive response to your story. And in that process, you may get feedback that you can do with what you want. And that says take what's helpful to you and leave the rest. And so sometimes after the writing roundtable, people will maybe go back, look at their story, and maybe refine it a bit, add some, maybe a little more to it, things that people were curious about. But it's really your story, and there's really no right or wrong way of doing this. So then the final step is that we ask you to record it. And I know this can be a little, maybe a little challenging for some in terms of feeling quite vulnerable about doing that, and then also just from the technological perspective. But we want you to do it because we think hearing your story in your own words has a lot of power. You can record it at home using your phone or your laptop, whatever works for you. The church also has a camera that you can borrow. That's what I used. Once the recording is done, we release it on a Friday email. And at that same time, it's posted to the church website and to the church's Facebook page. As I say, I kind of think about this as a journey or a path, and you can take it at your own pace, and you can pause when you want. And as I said, each step in that process really has value in your own growth. And if you choose, there are some people that choose not to do a video, that's absolutely fine. Of course, we encourage you to, but it's fine if you say, I think I'm just going to pause here for a minute, and maybe you just, for you, that's where you are right then. It doesn't have to result in a video, but I think what's more important is starting that journey and trying to put words to what you're thinking.
From the perspective of someone who has gone on this journey,
right?
How would you articulate what that journey looked and felt like?
I mean, I was really apprehensive about it.
What were you apprehensive about?
I think I was most apprehensive about the recording.
Uh-huh.
And I actually kind of wondered if I could just do an audio recording or just maybe do this as a written piece. But I also knew, and I had to understand, that apprehension came from a place of fear, a place of fear of having it judged, of not feeling as if I was really engaged in this. So I just knew I had to move outside my comfort zone.
Right. There's the making public something that that is still forming
Right.
inside you.
Yeah, you kind of put it out there, and you don't really know how people are going to respond, or maybe even worse yet, not respond. Right. So, and I guess for me, I felt that I was as honest as I could be in where I was at the time. And I thought, that's what I need to do. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
And that I was really glad that I did the recording. I don't know, there was something about taking that step and putting it out there was kind of like the gentle nudge out the door. That now that you've done this, you know you can do this more and more. You can be bolder. You can not be that afraid of really stepping up and speaking out. I remember watching a lot of the protest, and one of the signs that always caught me was white silence and the complicity of white silence. And I just didn't want to be that person.
As a participant in this project myself, what I really appreciated about the 3-step journey is that it kind of, it spaces out the vulnerability, and it allows you to kind of step into it safely.
It does. Yeah.
Over a number of steps. You know, there's the vulnerability of like just making a coherent story
Yeah.
out of your own experience,
Right.
which is difficult. And you know, I don't know about you, but personally, it took me like a month and like 5 drafts to come to something
Yes.
that felt
Yes.
authentic to me. And then, you know, going through that story in that writing roundtable setting, where the emphasis was really on just clarity of message. There was no judgment
Right.
or like yardstick of like, you know, how anti-racist are you in this moment? It wasn't about
Right.
that. It was just
Yeah.
like listening to each person's experiences and just measuring how clearly they were able to articulate that. No judgment.
Right.
In order to present each person's voice to the community, which is a gift. And then I agree. I mean, the recording of the pieces it makes it real in a different way.
It does. Yeah.
And it's kind of, and it's not for all time.
No.
But it's a yardstick that you can, a signpost.
Right.
That you can say, as of this moment, this is what I believe.
Yeah. Exactly.
About how I am
Yeah.
attempting to be my best self relative to race.
Right. You know, showing that vulnerability, it is a challenge. It is scary. It is threatening. It feels threatening, intimidating. But at the same time, it also binds us so much closer together. It deepens our connections. And so in that writing roundtable, you have the opportunity to see how your story feels to others, but you also have the chance to hear their stories. And then I think there's just a deepening of the connections of the people who are around the table with even though we're doing this on Zoom, but just being on the screen together and going through that process together. It's just a deepening of those connections.
There have been very few experiences that I've had at Plymouth Church that have felt more like a live spiritual community than I had in that writing roundtable group because of the shared vulnerability and like being seen and seeing others. I mean, that's central to being in a church, right?